Hello everybody, welcome to Mike and Matt's X-Cellent Adventures, your number one and probably only X-Men film franchise review podcast. My name is Matt Waters. I am joined by Mike Thomas. Mike, we've been through quite a journey. We've reviewed a lot of X-Men films. We've run out of films that exist. So, how do you feel?
I feel like we're going past our expiration date. That we just can't let go, and we must keep going forever.
Yeah, we don't have a problem. Like, you all have a problem, if anything.
Just because there's only 9 movies, and we said we're only looking back at the movies, doesn't mean we should keep going.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just keep going. We'll start writing our own ones. We'll perform them as radio plays. It's great. I can do an awesome Wolverine impression, probably. I don't know.
I'll just say Kurt Wagner.
Yeah, just cut to Kurt Wagner saying his own name. So with this sort of bonus episode, we are going to be looking at some of the projects that we know for sure are coming in the future. We're going to look at some of the stuff that has been rumoured, that isn't like concrete yet, some stuff that got cancelled, maybe some hopes, dreams, goals for the franchise going forward, and we may even be able to deliver you a definitive ranking of all the films. Well, it won't be definitive because we disagree heavily on Deadpool, but we will probably each have our own ranking to close things out. So, get hyped, everyone. I guess the first thing to talk about, because it has like a confirmed release date and cast and is definitely happening and just finished filming.
Yeah, it's actually been shot, so it's...
Yeah, they've got the advantage of they've actually filmed all of it.
Not to be an irresponsible Hollywood journalist, but this movie is happening, everyone.
So it's Wolverine 3. Well, I call it Wolverine 3. They actually haven't committed to a title. So already we're pretty sketchy here.
And I was actually just thinking this morning that all 3 Wolverine movies basically exist in their own universe because I think they've pretty much ignored the first one and pretend it doesn't exist. The second one takes place in the original trilogy's timeline, and this third one will take place in the Days of Future Past timeline. So it's the least amount of quality control in a single franchise if you consider Wolverine his own franchise.
Yeah, the Wolverine films, the Wolverine universe is a mess. They've just gone, hey, that Wolverine guy's popular, throw some films out. Do they have to be good? Nah. And hopefully they'll break that trend this time, but I mean, I don't know. They've not had the best track record. It's the same director as the Wolverine, it's James Mangold. And it's based on Old Man Logan, allegedly, where... we have a dramatically aged Wolverine.
I think we can even just start right there. I think we've already discussed this, but this is one of the few comics we've both read because I don't really read too many of them. And the whole issue I had, or one of the big fundamental issues I had with the book was that for Wolverine to get into this very, very old state, as the title suggests, how is anyone who is just a regular human being still alive? And I couldn't get over that Hawkeye was in that book. Like, there's no way. There just literally was no way. And here we have Charles Xavier's in this movie, and he does look older than any other portrayal of him. But are we is he 95? Is he 105? Is he 150? Because based on the rate of Wolverine's aging, he would have to probably be 250 years old to be still alive for Wolverine to look that old.
Wow.
We have seen a pic, and Logan is definitively gray-haired in it. It's not white, but it's gray. So how is anyone from the original franchise still alive?
Well, Xavier could just have kept swapping bodies to keep himself.
Yeah.
There is the idea.
He doesn't have a twin, people. He has triplets. He was one of 3.
But this one's younger, even though they're triplets somehow. There is this idea that, I guess Xavier is such a powerful telepath that he could, embed his full consciousness into Wolverine's brain somehow. I don't know, even though you'd think he would heal it out or something. I don't know. And with Logan, I mean, there is the theoretical idea that one day the healing factor will just stop working, and he will die of old age, and
I don't question that he'll
so
die one day.
Will...
It's just the pace at which he's been aging suggests it's going to be a while.
Yeah, well, we don't know. It could just be a case of, the healing factor stopped working, your body is beginning to catch up with your real age, so maybe it's not as much a case as we're decades in the future as it's just Wolverine has finally gotten old. Also, we don't know how many other members of the cast are in... The only confirmed sort of returning characters are Wolverine and Xavier.
Yeah. It's weird. Everything about this movie is weird to me. It's still officially rumored that Liev Schreiber was in it. They finished filming. What?
Yeah.
We don't know who is playing anyone besides Xavier and Wolverine. If Mr. Sinister's in it, how do we not know who's playing Mr. Sinister?
Well, alright, let's go through this cast that we have announced. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, obviously.
And then a bunch of actors are playing people.
Yeah, so the cast we have is Stephen Merchant, Richard E. Grant, Boyd Holbrook, Eric LaSalle, Elizabeth Rodriguez, Elise Neal, and possibly Liev Schreiber. Everyone's educated guess is Stephen Merchant is going to play Morph.
Which is actually pretty awesome.
That's a very good casting. I would guess Richard E. Grant would be Mr. Sinister. He's got a hammy, over-the-top quality, theatrical quality to him.
Yeah.
They've said Boyd Holbrook is playing the head of security for Mr. Sinister, so I think he's meant to be an original character. I'm not really familiar with him. I know he's in Narcos and other stuff, but for everyone else, I literally have no clue who they are playing.
Yeah. It's nice to see Eric LaSalle acting again. He doesn't do much since ER.
Yeah.
Elise Neal, I believe, in Scream 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure, yeah. She's in a whole bunch of stuff that isn't all that notable, or she was quite young when she was in it, I think.
I think it's yet another Wolverine movie about taking powers, combining powers. I'm just how are all three Wolverine movies about this?
Well, at least with Mr. Sinister, you have the one character that is consistently about this. He's about cloning, he's about gene splicing. It's an enormous question mark, this film. We have no concrete... There's not even really a plot summary out there. There's no trailers yet, but obviously they've literally just finished filming, so... But...
It's coming out in 8 months.
Yeah.
7 months.
Yeah, March 2017.
How do we not know what's going to happen in this movie yet?
Yeah. Well,
I also don't understand why it's a mystery.
Yeah,
that kind of makes me nervous.
Maybe they're not confident about it, but they're
how could they? It's a Wolverine movie.
Part of me is okay, you've got Hugh Jackman who wants to do this one last time. Maybe don't do it maybe just save that for something that is going to be good. And
it really dawned on me recently that his ending just really should have been Days of Future Past.
Yes.
Wolverine making the ultimate sacrifice for himself, for everyone else, and he dies in the newly established timeline in that water when Magneto puts all the metal in him. It's kind of poetic, metal, aha. He dies and he never wakes up again, and we just have a new cast that moves on without Hugh Jackman, who's doesn't need to keep making these movies anymore.
Yeah.
And
then they could still... one of the rumors for it's hard, because, people take sort of one-line comments here and there and piece together what might be happening, but I know Bryan Singer has pushed for them to introduce X-23 as the female Wolverine. That would be a way of, having the essence of the character. It's a way of recasting the character while keeping it canonical, kind of thing. You could get a young actress in here, cloned from the DNA that Mr. Sinister gathered in Apocalypse, and then, lock someone down for some ridiculous amount of time to play this character.
Yeah, I am.
But nobody in the confirmed cast is like young, so
yeah, it's hard to be excited about this movie given the track record of Wolverine and the complete lack of information known about it.
They've said it's going to be sort of a western.
God.
Logan's,
well, James Mangold, he made 3:10 to Yuma.
I think he did.
Okay, that's a pretty good western.
Yeah. So they've got two writers. One of them, I can't find any information about anything he's done, David James Kelly. The other, Michael Green, wrote for Heroes. He wrote Green Lantern, and he's writing the upcoming Alien and Blade Runner sequels. So,
oh my God.
That's a mixed bag of stuff.
Oh my God. How did he get the Blade Runner sequel?
I know, after he wrote Green Lantern, someone was like, this dude needs rewarding. Let's give him two of the biggest sci-fi franchises of all time.
Holy shit.
I know. It's like Daniel Cudmore staying around in X-Men.
Wow.
I've just blown Mike's mind. He's not going to be of any use for the rest of the podcast.
Yeah,
Don't worry, guys. I'm going to explain Mr. Sinister in more depth now.
Yeah. I hope we finally get a good Wolverine movie. I think the best option is just like some buddy movie with Morph. I don't know what else they can do, but I'm afraid that's not going to happen. I'm afraid, I feel like he's going to be like Will.i.am, where he's just going to be in, 2 scenes and then die.
I think it's going to be a lot of him, looking back on his life, trying to, make good for all the evil he brought into the world, and it just...
Wasn't that the plot of the last Wolverine movie?
Yeah, and it's the plot of every Wolverine story. Dude isn't happy, and dude is old. That's kind of the character.
I'm not excited about this. There's no reason to be optimistic about it.
So we've got a good mix here of genuine tiredness and genuine boredness of talking about Wolverine and Mr. Sinister. It's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably not going to be great because they got a bad track record. But given we know nothing about it, hey, maybe they'll drop a hot trailer in 3 months or something, and people will be like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely really like it to be good. But one, also, by the way, I think it's incredibly unlikely that Hugh Jackman doesn't come back one time, at least one more time, to play Wolverine. And I feel like he and Bryan Singer must have a good enough relationship where that can happen. Yeah. And secondly, if this was the last time, I think it should have been in a Bryan Singer movie. I think Bryan Singer just writes Wolverine or understands Wolverine way better than anybody else, including Hugh Jackman. And I feel like this is not going to be a fitting tribute to Wolverine.
No. I mean, I don't know, he's an enduringly popular character. He's had dozens of solo runs in comics that are allegedly good. I don't rate many of them, but if this is the franchise character in this enormous franchise, then they got one last chance to say, look, this is why he's good, and we'll see.
It's going to be rated R. That's the other thing.
Yeah, obviously. Deadpool happened, now everything is going to be like that. So I guess moving away from Wolverine into another concretely existing project. It's Legion, and it is a collaboration with Marvel. Marvel have a vague involvement with all of these films. Kevin Feige does talk to them, but this is...
Oh, really?
Yeah, Kevin Feige's been... I think he got his start by being an assistant with X-Men 1. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, I know he definitely worked on that, and but I thought...
No, despite the sort of the idea that Marvel begrudgingly hope that all these other films bomb so they can get their stuff back, I think they actually have a decent relationship with the X-Men people and actively do talk with them. But this is a full-on collaboration. Jeff Loeb, who is the head of Marvel TV, so I guess he's behind Daredevil, Jessica Jones, etc. He is an executive producer on this, and there's Marvel logos all over it and everything. So, high hopes. It is created by Noah Hawley of Fargo fame. I haven't seen Fargo. You seem to believe it's the best thing on TV?
Yeah. It's especially that second. I mean, the first season was a really great season of television, and then the second season blew it out of the water. So it's this is pretty exciting stuff. Like he's the new it guy when it comes to like everyone wants a piece of him. So hopefully his first project, not after Fargo, because he's not done with Fargo, but his first non-Fargo project also really delivers. Yeah. But he seems to be one of those people who's literally signed up for too many things. There's no way he could get them all done because of how popular he is after Fargo took off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he wrote this. He's directing the first episode. He's an EP, etc. So we'll see. So who is Legion? I hear you all ask. Long story short, he's Charles Xavier's son. He has multiple personalities, and each of them have a different power. And depending on which one is dominant, he has different powers. But basically, we're dealing with a mutant who's incredibly powerful and kind of crazy. And there is a trailer out for it that it doesn't give a huge amount away, but just the tone of it seems quite different. I think it's 8 episodes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Bryan Singer and Simon Kinberg are involved.
Your favorite?
Yeah, obviously. And originally it was meant to be its own thing, so that it doesn't get like tied down by... we see this happen when a project gets sort of hurt by having to cater to the grander master of either Marvel or Fox or whoever. But Bryan Singer has since come out and said this will connect to future X-Men films. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's something to be incredibly intrigued by. It's like the opposite of the Wolverine. Well, not the opposite, since we don't really know much about it, but just because based on the people making it, I'm far more intrigued by it than the Wolverine.
Yeah, Bryan Singer is obviously a very notable director, but if you go beyond him, there's not really the sort of creative... Well, Matthew Vaughn's good too. I'm just saying this is a legit director who you wouldn't expect to take on this kind of project. And yeah, I think it could be very intriguing.
And FX is a good home for it too.
Yeah, absolutely. He's bringing some of his Fargo people with him. I mean, I haven't seen it, but when looking at the cast list, I saw a few of them are in Fargo.
Oh, no, it's crazy. Did you see April from Parks and Rec is in it? And she's playing like an eternal optimist.
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
Yeah, Aubrey Plaza. Yeah. Yeah, so Dan Stevens, who is a British actor in Downton Abbey, the most beloved of all British TV shows. He's playing Legion. You've also got Rachel Keller, Gene Smart, Aubrey Plaza, Katie Aselton from The League, and Bill Irwin are the only confirmed people so far. But yeah, it's tough to know what to expect.
I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I believe so. And I think being 8 episodes is good too. Like, I don't want it to be
so few TV shows need more than 8 to 10 episodes a season.
Yeah.
I mean, even like the Marvel Netflix shows are all like 4 to 5 too long. So.
Oh, absolutely.
and they're only at 13.
Yeah.
But like 13 is just like this weirdly romanticized number for television shows, because that was like what The Sopranos did. And so like every TV show has to be 13. Every like cable show tries to be 13 for some reason.
Yeah. This does very much have the vibe of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, the sort of new Marvel Netflix initiative with these sort of grittier takes on them.
Yeah, it looks less cheap to me though.
It looks high production, but I just think it's maybe been influenced by that a little. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, it's cool. After all these X-Men films, obviously the cartoons, we haven't had a live action X-Men TV show, and I don't think this is going to be all that X-Men-y. Like,
no.
Obviously, the lead character is a mutant, and they are using the word mutant liberally in the trailer and stuff. But I think, much like the Legion series, it's going to be more about this person as a character, and it will be intriguing, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what the connections are to the X-Men universe. I feel like Patrick Stewart or McAvoy would be down for a cameo, though, just based on their personalities and seemingly enthusiasm for the product in general. But
the issue being that he's Xavier's son. I mean, it would have to be Stewart, surely, because McAvoy is probably barely older than the guy playing his son. Although Evan Peters is
what
only 10 years younger than Michael Fassbender, and they play that as a father-son thing. So
yeah, but they could do something weird with like telepathy or something like that, or
I guess
something.
Yeah, that would be cool. That is allegedly coming in early 2017. They've shot a pilot. I don't know. I think they're filming it currently. I don't know if it's finished or not, but yeah, as a trailer, it's different looking. Hopefully, it's good. So moving along, we have. I don't know.
We're officially in murkier territory in the sense that nothing else is being shot or filmed, right?
No, everything else I have on this list is scheduled to be filmed. So.
And I would say the only thing guaranteed 100% to happen is Deadpool 2.
Yes, which will actually. Do you want to do that now, or?
Yeah, I think I like to do it in the order of it's actually going to happen, just because X-Men is such a long history of things not happening.
Sure. Well, I mean, in that same vein, there's obviously going to be another big X-Men film, but yeah, Deadpool 2.
I'm not as convinced of that.
Okay. So Deadpool 2, Ryan Reynolds will be back. Same writers, same director. Cable is going to be in it. Kyle Chandler of Friday Night Lights fame is rumored.
Actor.
Yeah, great actor. Coach K all the way. Rumored to play Cable. It's a difficult character to play because he is so ridiculous. He's like the 90s sneezed. Just pouches and huge guns and ridiculousness. But there is concept art out there for X-Force, which we'll talk about later, and the look they've got for Cable, sort of a slimmer, more realistic looking Cable. I could see Kyle Chandler doing that, so that would be cool.
He is awfully short, especially compared to Ryan Reynolds.
Is he? Okay.
As best as I can tell. But, he's a great actor. I think his shortness maybe even could play well into, this little unspoken Napoleon complex the character may have compared to Deadpool.
Well,
I think those two would have tremendous chemistry together, too.
Yeah, I think so. I just like the idea of Ryan Reynolds playing one of the players for Coach K's team and just being told off all the time. That sounds fun. And he's covered in guns and stuff anyway, so the fact that he's short, that could play into that.
Yeah. We know nothing about this movie, basically, other than Cable will be in it.
Yeah.
I think, as we've discussed, I kind of hope this turns into more of an ensemble. I wouldn't mind Psylocke popping in, Vanessa getting her powers, TJ Miller, driving the car, perhaps.
Yeah. I think Domino is rumored, which would be a very fun character to use in tandem with Deadpool.
Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead should be in it.
I think so, yeah. I think this would be a good sort of soft launch for X-Force. Basically use this as an origin story for that team, and then have them do an X-Force movie and have them be a team at the beginning. Don't waste 50 minutes assembling them.
Yeah. We don't need the Justice League. This doesn't need to be the Justice League.
No. And the advantage you get with Deadpool is, because he narrates and breaks fourth wall, he could give them a lot of shortcuts into getting started a lot quicker. So,
yeah.
But
overall, I feel like this is going to be bigger and better things are coming for Deadpool. And I think this is something to be intrigued and fairly excited by.
I think they're going to give them a hell of a lot more money, and I hope that the director continues to spend it as wisely as he did the first time around. Just make the most of everything. We've talked already about how these handicaps can actually end up being a benefit, and I think he did a great job with what they gave him first time. So hopefully he gets to continue to do his thing and doesn't just blow it all on ridiculousness. I think we discussed. We discussed this in the Deadpool episode, but it needs to be more of a buddy film, something like that. I think the Deadpool and Cable dynamic should be, if they do it right, which I have every reason to believe they will. That will be very entertaining for everyone to watch. So.
Hey, we're being positive and optimistic.
Yeah, I know, this is weird. Don't worry, it'll get worse. I think New Mutants is definitely happening.
That sounds likely.
Yeah, so I don't know if it will be called New Mutants, but it's being...
That's a dumb name.
That's the name of the characters that they're going with. They may change it. But it's being directed by Josh Boone, everyone's favourite Fault in Our Stars director. It's going to be a young adult aimed film, which makes sense given that it is about a younger cast.
I wish you could see the face I just made as you gave me all that information.
Did you not know this?
No.
Someone did their prep work. Okay, I mean, yeah, this one may not be for us, but who says that they have to make them all for us?
I do.
Okay, I mean, we're doing a podcast on them. They could at least repay us.
Yeah. Think of all the press we're giving them.
All 6 of you. So yeah, I mean, there's the classic X-Men team, Cyclops, Jean Grey, etc., etc., who were sort of locked at being at a certain age for a long time. Eventually, they were like, maybe there should be like new, younger people, and these people should age up. So this is about that team. Wolfsbane, Magic, Cannonball, etc. Not a lot of detail out there. It's being written by the guys that wrote 500 Days of Summer, and they did.
That's a funny movie.
Yeah, and they did Fault in Our Stars and Paper Towns as well. So, yeah. If that's the vibe they're going for, it's the vibe they're going for.
If it's funny, I won't care.
Yeah,
if it, I think it should just be very, very funny. It sounds like.
Yeah, and this series back in the day was acclaimed for not just being an X-Men series, but being like a good depiction of being a teenager at a crazy school with a bunch of strangers. So I hope they focus on that aspect and they're not saving the world.
And it should be like, it sounds like it should be like a fun way, like 5 teenagers get some fun cameos in, and then like they get caught up in some adventure away from everyone and can't be saved, and they have to save themselves. Like, I don't know. That seems like it writes itself.
Yeah. So we've only got 4 confirmed members of the cast.
Oh, I didn't even know we had that much.
Okay, well, we have 2 heavily rumoured members of the cast and 2 confirmed ones. So the confirmed ones are James McAvoy as Charles Xavier, which makes sense if this is a bunch of kids getting taught, and Alexandra Shipp will be in it as Storm. But given that the narrative they're doing is she's already one of the young people, maybe this is like the class under her. I don't know. Yeah,
that's what I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, if they are going to stick to the thing of jumping forward, maybe it won't be 10 years this time. We'll get to that, but maybe this is a slightly older Storm. But heavily rumoured are Maisie Williams of Game of Thrones fame, Arya Stark.
Wow.
Yeah, playing Wolfsbane, and Anya Taylor-Joy, who is in the upcoming film Split with James McAvoy, so hopefully they'll have chemistry, I don't know. She's playing Magic, which is a very cool character that I'm pleased they're doing.
Well, hopefully it'll be fun. It'll be like a race to see if Arya and Sansa... you're caught up on Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so like if Arya and Sansa finally have screen time together, but it's an X-Men before Game of Thrones. That'll be fun.
I doubt it, but because they aren't even filming this until early next year. But then again, they're not filming Game of Thrones until this winter. So
yeah, I mean the final Game of Thrones season won't come out till the summer of 2018. So
yeah,
it's the race is on. Your move, Bryan Singer.
Just can you imagine? Just out of spite, they were like, "Let's just put Jean in this film just so that we can have the Stark reunion. No one's getting anywhere else."
And also, I think it's probably for the best. I don't know. Do we know the director? You said
Josh Boone, Fault in Our Stars.
Okay. Let's keep Bryan Singer as far away as possible from the New Mutants. Franchise.
I
it just
think
seems like for the best.
I think he's going to maintain some sort of producer role.
Let's keep him 50 feet away.
I now see what you're doing. Okay.
Yes, let's keep him 50 feet away at all times. This movie.
Agreed. There's really nowhere to go from that. So that's going to be New Mutants. It may not be for everyone, but maybe it'll be funny and charming. Who knows? I don't know which order to do these in, but Gambit and X-Force are allegedly both coming. Gambit's got some problems.
Yeah. They can't hold on to a director, which is never a good sign.
No. So
they just lost Doug Liman within like the last 48 hours.
Yeah. And they lost Rupert Wyatt before that. Allegedly, they've got Channing Tatum and Lea Seydoux cast, but I've heard stories.
He's also bailed at least once at one point.
Yeah, I did hear these stories that Tatum was like cooling on this project. He has an executive producer credit, I think, so that might convince him to stay on, but I don't know. It seems weird to be locking down. Like, they said, oh, we've narrowed down our search, Slayer Seydow is now Belladonna, whatever. It seems weird to make an announcement like that when you have no director, or you've lost 2 directors, and, like, it just seems very sketchy so far.
Yeah. I'm not super confident this movie's happening, I guess I should say.
I'm not either. If they could get Channing Tatum, if they can make it happen, that's quite a get, because he was allegedly going to play him in The Last Stand all those years ago. He's obviously a much bigger name now. Like, that would be... I know they have very famous actors in their films, but this would be the first time...
He's a pretty big star.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying, like, they got Jennifer Lawrence young, and then she became famous. This would be a case of getting a huge star while he, he's in his prime.
Huge star.
Yeah, exactly, and then getting him cast, as opposed to, older, more respected actors or up-and-coming people. So that would be quite a get, and that will probably... If they can put this out, people will probably go see it because he's in it. It's just a case of it ever happens, I guess.
Hopefully it's like a Deadpool situation where it just, like, it takes so long that it just happened, like, there's no choice but for it to be good.
Well, my best friend Simon Kinberg has said that they're very concerned about getting the tone right, and he talked about how Deadpool took so long because they wanted to make sure it was right. I'm not sure I completely buy that, but hey. But he said they want to do something similar here, where they want it to have a very specific feel and tone, and they are prepared to delay it if necessary. Given that he is notably a thief, I think the sensible thing here would to be make it like a heist film, something like that. He's breaking in somewhere, stealing something. Channing Tatum, when he was talking about it, he was saying, his father's from Louisiana, so he can do the accent. He wants to make it a very different kind of film where he's not a superhero, he's just a guy who has powers. He's not saving the world, he's just doing his own thing. So, I don't know, it's a very popular character thanks to the animated series. Like, growing up, I loved Gambit, and then as an adult, someone challenged me on why I love Gambit, and I was like, I literally don't know. He was cool when I was, like, 10. I don't know. But, I mean, it could be different, and if they can keep Channing Tatum in it, then it will probably do well. It's just, I'd say it's 50-50 it even ever exists. But
yeah. I'm also not positive that they can do this movie well, but I guess I wasn't positive they could do Deadpool well, and they pulled that off, so...
I think Deadpool's an easier sell than...
For sure.
Well, I guess the R-rated thing might have been hard to sell, but... Yeah, it's... we'll see. I think... Hopefully the money men at Fox recognise that if they can get Channing Tatum in it, then it's worth their time and money to make it, so...
Yeah.
We'll
Well,
see.
apparently the mentality is with X-Men that it's like everything can get whatever it needs, which is funny considering the origins of this franchise with Fox. But
and
they seem pretty committed at the moment. So
and the $57 million they gave Deadpool. That wasn't a great show of faith.
I think they probably have more faith now.
Oh, they do now.
Deadpool than they do in X-Men. But I think at that moment in time, they were more concerned. They did not have faith in Deadpool in the slightest.
Well, speaking of faith in Deadpool, an X-Force movie has been rumored for a long time. It was allegedly going to happen after Days of Future Past, but then when Deadpool started testing well or getting buzz, they put it on the back burner in favor of Deadpool. And then they did Apocalypse, so X-Force has been impacted by Deadpool, but he could very well... He almost definitely will be in X-Force before there's concept art out there that is Cable, Warpath, Cannonball, Domino, and an unidentified female. Obviously Deadpool will now be in it. I think that's almost a guarantee.
It would make no creative or business sense not to put him in it at this point.
So X-Force is very much like it's X-Men that like are not afraid to kill people, essentially. It's a shady...
Are they aligned with anybody?
No. not really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's been various interpretations over the years, but Cable is very much he comes from a future where, like, he's grown up in war, so he's got no time for, like, public image and, like, playing nice, so he's very much like, look, let's go do this. Whatever. So
what's his power, by the way?
How long do you have?
Never mind.
He's got Gene's powers, but he can't use them, so basically he's just a crazy soldier with tech.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Lots and lots of guns. That's his power. So yeah, as we already said, I think it would be wise to introduce most of these characters in Deadpool 2.
I actually think it'd be kind of interesting to even take that a step further and just say, this is Cyclops and Jean's son, and he literally has no powers.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
for intents
he's just
purposes,
like, it'd be an interesting, like, twist on what we've come to expect from them. This is someone who's, like, choosing this life.
Yeah. At the risk of boring you, they did a story with there was a baby born that was, like, held to be the Messiah, and up to the age of 18 she exhibited no powers whatsoever, and, like, everyone was putting this onus on her to do something, and it was quite fun. They could do something like that. I don't know. Yeah, so we don't know the precise team they're going for, because X-Force has gone through a lot of changes over the years. It was originally the aforementioned New Mutants team. Cable took charge of them as they got a bit older, and he turned that into a slightly more militarized thing. And then in more recent years, it's been literally like the Kill Squad. It's been X-23, Warpath, Wolverine, like just stabbing people to death. I would imagine it will probably be the latter, because they won't want to, if they've got a young adult franchise, have their characters then also appear in this R-rated thing where they're murdering people. So I would imagine characters like Psylocke are probably a bet. Domino seems likely. Beyond that, who knows? I like Boo-Boo Stewart's like look in Days of Future Past, but I'm not sure I buy him as, like, I don't know, he's not physically imposing.
Yeah, I would say Deadpool, Cable, Psylocke.
I think Domino has to be there.
And yeah, I don't think there's.
You could put Colossus on it. He's been in an X-Force team before.
You know, maybe they put Gambit in it.
Yeah, that would actually be a good way to solve everyone's problems.
Yeah.
Look, Channing, Deadpool was popular. This film will have him in it. It'll have you in it as well. A Ryan Reynolds, Channing Tatum-led film would probably do extremely well.
Right. Yeah.
Forget about the Gambit thing. Maybe if this gets overwhelmingly good reactions, we'll maybe revisit doing a solo film. But yeah, that would be a very smart way of dealing with it. It's allegedly coming out late next year, but they haven't.
Oh God, there's no chance.
I don't think so either.
It's definitely after Deadpool 2, I would say.
Oh yeah.
I would bet
100%. Jeff Wadlow is the director. He did Kick-Ass 2, which was not good.
Wow, they have directors for all these movies already.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely surprised.
Yeah. Well, that's how you start these things.
I know, but that seems like a step they're often, Yeah.
And
not prepared for.
Singer claims that he pitched the studio on doing X-Force a long time ago, and he heavily wants X-23. So she's been on the team. It would make sense. You could do you could have Deadpool making baby Wolverine jokes.
So okay, it's all coming together then. So Mr. Sinister makes X-23. Yep. X-23 goes to the X-Force film.
Yep.
Yada 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 yada.
Yep. It would be a similar dynamic to the Negasonic Teenage Warhead one, where it's, she's a teenager, but then she's also this badass murder machine.
Yeah.
So, and then I guess, okay, so there's two more projects. One, I don't know, you said you're not confident, but they are allegedly going to do another X-Men film with this new cast of, the young Cyclops, Storm, Jean Grey, Quicksilver, Nightcrawler. They've said it's going to be in space. It seems quite likely they're going to revisit the Dark Phoenix saga.
It's going to be the 90s.
It's going to be the 90s. They've got to tread carefully here.
I was just looking at the box office again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thinking, if I'm Fox, I'm not investing a whole lot of money into this just yet. And I would kind of want to see how the other projects shape up and whether or not it's you want to commit, a significant amount of money to another X-Men movie.
I mean, obviously Deadpool has overtaken X-Men in the sort of public standing, and they are pushing things more that way. They've got an R-rated Wolverine 3 coming. X-Force is probably going to be R-rated as well. So that's happening, and then you have this younger team in the New Mutants. So it's going to be a very different vibe if everything I've read is true. Is this treading on that toes? I don't.
Not so much that. I feel like if I'm a money man at Fox, I'm thinking like this. What we do with the X-Men movies, neither is what Marvel does with their movies, nor is it, like, look how successful Deadpool was as like a quote unquote counter to Marvel. And we don't really. I wonder if they just go all in on that. That's my instinct. Is that they keep pushing this back because there's no way it comes out in the next 2 years.
Probably not. No.
Very unlikely it comes out within the next 3 years. So there's no momentum behind it right now. Like when Days of Future Past happened, we already knew Apocalypse was happening. Like they announced Apocalypse,
and that was possibly to its detriment.
Yeah, and like they announced that movie. I think they started probably filming shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any momentum right now to make this movie happen. I think the soonest it could come out was 2019. And I'm guessing it goes into the next decade before we see it, if we see it.
Wow. Well, I mean, if you look at the three superheroes,
it just didn't make enough money to justify diving into it.
No, I agree. If you look at the three movie-making studios for superhero films, like if Sony are basically now Marvel as well, you've got Marvel who have their schedule laid out for almost a decade, and
publicly, I'm sure their private schedule's got 2 or 3 decades,
possibly. But they've kept to it so far. So far, they've all been successful. You've got DC, well, Warner Bros, who have laid out a schedule of their own. But there are all these reports that they are like Suicide Squad was failing to meet its deadline. They had to make it quickly because they had all these deals in place. They almost seem hindered by the fact they've laid it out like that is working against them. I think it would probably be in Fox's favor to not put dates on any of these things and just let them come as they will. Yeah, because they have the option here to. I mean, I still think they're ahead of Warner, but I guess Batman and Superman are probably always going to make money, so I don't know how they compare genuinely with the sort of mainstream perspective. But they have every opportunity to cement that numbers 2 status, and maybe if they get really weird with it, they can go past Marvel again, but probably not.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll ever get there, but
nah. That's optimism, bro.
Yeah. I really would not be shocked if they just didn't go all in on the more R-rated style movies.
They probably will, and they'll probably drive it into the ground, and then
that's my fear.
Swing back the other way.
I think Bryan Singer would know better, but I don't it's not his money, so.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely not doing an X-Men film in the near future. He's working on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. He wants to take some time off X-Men. Clearly, he's in the conversations for some of these other projects, but I don't think he's going anywhere near a set for a while.
And I should say, I think there's nothing wrong with the next X-Men proper movie not coming out for 5 years.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Let the actors actually age a bit, especially since you want to take it to the 90s.
And then they'll probably be less sick of constantly making these films as well.
And then I guess from there we should just discuss in general. I don't think the Phoenix thing is all that interesting. I don't know where do you go with it. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's probably a better spin on it. It is the story. It is the X-Men story. And you've got Jean Grey, and I feel you're sort of obligated to do it. And given how badly it was done in Last Stand, I feel possibly some ego at work wanting to make good on that. Like, they've done their best to erase Last Stand and Origins, but there is still that Phoenix thing on the table. I don't know. Like, they want to set it in space.
That's such a line. That's such a line to cross.
I'm personally not a fan of the space side of X-Men. All the stuff with Cyclops' parents and all that junk. Phoenix, I feel, because it's the most recognizable story, like, people watch the cartoon. I'm pretty sure everyone remembers from the cartoon seeing Jean Grey become the Phoenix. So I feel that will mean it will happen. But yeah, I think you do need to do something a little bit different with it. And
I'm not excited about space. I'm not excited about Dark Phoenix or just Phoenix in general.
I'm excited to confirm that Lucas Teal is still alive as Havoc, though. So.
Yeah. He is the heart and soul of the franchise.
He is. Yeah. He didn't die. He got caught in an explosion and a teleportation and ended up in space.
Yeah.
And he found their father.
And he's making MacGyver. He's the new MacGyver. He's literally the new MacGyver. I couldn't believe it.
What a man. The best of us all. Yeah, enormous question mark on the X-Men proper going forward. But, I don't know, the closing shot of Apocalypse with those 5, I looked at that and I was like, yeah, I'd watch them in something, but...
Oh yeah, sure. Just as long as you remove the steam.
Yeah. Or
she does need to go. She does need to go.
Yeah.
I did read on IMDb that she's not making another one. Hopefully that's true.
Yeah, I think she flip-flops on it. She's said multiple times Apocalypse will be her last one, but then she also is like, I do have fun making them.
Yeah. I'm just a normal girl.
I think maybe ask her in 5 years and then be like, look, do you want to do one now? Like, we haven't made you do it every 2 years.
Also, like, I don't know what her career is going to be in 5 years.
Yeah, unfortunately
I think
female actors.
The talent well might dry up a little bit because, as I think we've all discovered, she is not super talented.
I think she's been in some good stuff.
Yeah, but like, the majority of them have not been good performances by her. The majority of the movies she's made have not been good performances by her.
What do you think of Silver Linings?
What?
What do you think of Silver Linings?
I think I remember enjoying that movie despite its weird take on mental health. But
sure. I mean, I could not have cared less about American Hustle.
That was not.
Joy didn't seem interesting.
No, I heard she was legitimately good in Joy though, but I didn't see it.
Well, I mean,
but my point is, like, she's not good in the X-Men movies. She's not good in the Hunger Games movies, and that's half of her list. So,
yeah, but I don't know. How high is the quality of dramatic writing compared to the kind of stuff she'd prefer to be doing? I don't know. But anyway, I think she is either out or we won't see her for a while. And then there is allegedly a TV show coming about the Morlocks, the sort of sewer-dwelling mutants. I don't know. It seems sketchy. I think they cancelled Hellfire in favour of it.
It's going to be on Fox. Yeah, I really just don't assume anything that's coming on one of the major networks is not going to be good. Although I hear the CW makes good shows, but other than that,
they make okay shows.
I don't trust anything coming out of NBC, CBS, Fox, or ABC.
Fair enough. Yeah, there's like no details on this whatsoever. A couple discover the child is a mutant and they go on the run. That could be anything.
It just sounds so bad on Fox, you know?
Yep. That's probably a wise way to go. So, let's move into... That's everything that is either rumoured or is definitely coming. We're also going to now look at stuff that at one point was coming, or never materialised, or was cancelled outright. The most famous of these would be... So when they did X-Men Origins Wolverine, their plan was to do a series of these films, and they wanted to do X-Men Origins Magneto, and whoever else after that. But This Magneto film was allegedly in development for a while. They were interested in using Ian McKellen with the de-aging special effect that actually doesn't look good. And some sort of moving through different time periods Magneto film.
That sounds goofy and dumb.
Yeah.
Like, I never saw it, but I picture like Hannibal Origins or Hannibal Rising or whatever that movie was. Like it just sounds dumb.
Yep.
Um,
I think basically they took everything good about that and just turned it into First Class. Like the story of Michael Fassbender globe-trotting the world, murdering Nazis. That was all good stuff.
Yeah,
but it probably
the wide rejection of X-Men Origins Wolverine probably saved us even more heartache than we could have expected.
Yeah. Who knows how many characters would have got an Origins film?
Yeah,
Toad Origins.
Halle Berry, just going through time, saving people from famine.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why that's not what Storm does with her life. Just go to areas where there's droughts and fix it.
I didn't read it, but there was a Storm solo series recently where she did go to Africa and try and help something there, but I don't know. Yeah, there is a giant plot hole in that character there. There's really not a lot to talk about there because, it got turned into a better project. There's really no call for it now because we've explored this character so much in other films. Yeah, I would have no interest in a Magneto film.
No.
If it did get revived.
There was Once Upon a Time going to be an Emma Frost movie.
Yeah, Emma Frost, one of the more tragic characters in the film history. Like, it's a good character in the source material. It's had one outing and it wasn't good, and she's had a cancelled solo film.
She's had two outings, no matter what Bryan Singer says.
Okay, fair enough. Singer wanted to use her if he had done an X-Men 3 instead of going off to do Superman Returns. He wanted to use her there, and
with Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, allegedly Sigourney Weaver, corrupting Jean to turn her into the Dark Phoenix. So it's an unfortunate character. I really don't know what that film would have been. Maybe that turned into Hellfire, which has now been put on the back burner.
But it's interesting because the way Josh Whedon wrote Emma Frost, the way Emma Frost was in Wolverine the X-Men, this is a super intriguing character. You literally have no idea what she's up to.
Yeah, she.
But it's not boring. A lot of times that's boring and frustrating. It's never frustrating and boring.
Yeah, she's very much. She doesn't fit with the rest of them, sort of, from an ideology standpoint. She's kind of the odd one out in the team, and she's got her own agendas going on. It is a very interesting character. I don't know what you do in a solo film, though. I would like to see her make an appearance in an X-Men film and be good at some point. But, yeah, literally no clue what would have happened in a solo film.
Yeah. That brings an interesting question. Do you think there's any one mutant character that truly deserves a solo film? Because I'm not convinced there is.
It's a difficult one. Deadpool.
I would disagree, obviously.
I know you disagree, but because Deadpool is so weird and different that they almost separate him from X-Men on purpose, I feel that probably justifies, even if it's not truly a solo film and he does have his own sort of like how Batman has the Batman family of characters.
Yeah.
Maybe that, but it's probably not, to be honest, because the strength of X-Men is an ensemble. So if you start soloing people out like they did with Wolverine,
nothing good happens.
No. Even in the comics, there's not that many great X-Men character solo series. They often only last a few issues and get cancelled quite quickly. So yeah, probably not. I would try and keep everything team-based.
Should we talk about Bryan Singer's vision for X-Men 3?
Sure. I don't really know a lot about it beyond that he wanted Sigourney Weaver as Emma Frost dealing with Jean.
I think the basic premise, was basically you had three forces trying to recruit Jean back, the Hellfire Club led by Emma Frost, Magneto, and Xavier. And meanwhile, Cyclops has built the Danger Room and is trying to militarize the X-Men a bit more, because that's like his like internal response to what happened to Jean. Like he would feel like they were unprepared, and that's why he lost Jean. And
I do remember this now. I remember talking about what a good sort of character progression that would have been for Cyclops, like not being able to let it go.
And I think that probably it's hard to see, it's hard to envision it going really well, but it sounds infinitely better than the one we got.
Yeah, but would that have put a stop to X-Men? Like if Bryan Singer makes a third X-Men film and it's good, and you've got this trilogy, and you've kind of been using these same characters for this long, like where do they go after that? I guess would be my question. Like, could you have done Bryan Singer's X-Men 3 and then done Days of Future Past or First Class a few years later?
I think they would have. I mean, they still would have done Origins Wolverine. And
Sure.
I think the moment Marvel took off, they've been like, what are we doing? Let's make our money again.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But no, I'm guessing it doesn't. I mean, I don't think we end up with Fassbender and McAvoy. I think that process probably gets delayed, and then they're too big.
No, it's a weird one. Like The Last Stand being so bad, like what could have been instead, and what we got in response to it, like First Class being so different and fun, like as a direct sort of damage control on Days of Future Past. It's interesting.
Yeah. It's a question we'll never be able to answer.
Yeah. So do you have any kind of wants, desires, hopes that haven't been addressed in the projects that have been announced? Is there anything you would like to see from the X-Men series going forward, whether it be film ideas or tonal changes or characters? I don't know.
No, unfortunately, my only desire is nowhere close to happening, and that is the main X-Men characters in like an FX show.
Yeah, I would like to, like, when talking about Legion and how there hasn't been a live action TV show, I think the main X-Men team, the budget would probably be difficult. Like if they're actually going out every week and doing big mutant stuff with lasers and ice and whatever. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a... Well, I know this is weird to say because when I pitch it, it's not aimed at me, but some kind of teen drama series set at the school, and like it's all those scenes where you see all the students in the background in the main films, but you never leave that point. Like it's more about the characters at the school than it is about being X-Men. But I guess they're kind of going to address that with New Mutants. I don't know.
Yeah. But I think that overall it seems like it's going in a positive direction.
Yes. I think while we obviously are the defenders of Apocalypse, I think it is wise to maybe change gears a little bit, even with how you feel about Deadpool, but just to go in a different way and try something that is different from what Marvel are doing. I'm in favour of it. Bryan Singer still holds out hope that they will do an Avengers-style film with the X-Men, Deadpool, X-Force, whoever else gets films, all in one film, and I think that just sounds awful. They've already got a bloated enough cast. Like, trying to do that sounds insane.
I don't want to see Deadpool in a PG-13 movie.
No, neither do I. But...
And that's someone like who doesn't even find... I don't even find all of his humor and all of the gore particularly satisfying. I just think you've already established who this character is now. You can't strip away what makes him him.
Indeed, absolutely. So we've done them all. We have reviewed every existing X-Men film, and while if you've been following along, you can probably build for yourself your own kind of ranking of where we've put them based on our comments, we figure we'll clear that up for you by trying to rank them. I would imagine we'll have a reasonably similar list that will differ in the middle.
Yeah.
So, starting from the bottom. Actually, no, here's our first fight. I'm still going to say Origins Wolverine is worse than Last Stand.
It's Last Stand, but it's okay. It's okay.
I get it. Last Stand did more damage. It was a bigger stakes fuck up. Origins Wolverine was at least a side project, so I will allow it to move into the 8th spot and Last Stand be 9th.
There we go.
Hot on the heels would have to be the Wolverine.
100%.
For being not bad but boring.
I guess the fight would be Deadpool or Apocalypse here.
I would put Apocalypse there and then Deadpool ahead of it.
I'd put Deadpool then Apocalypse, but you
go listen to the Deadpool episode. You can hear that.
I got the last one. You can get this one.
Okay. Cool. So officially, we've got Last Stand, Origins Wolverine, The Wolverine, Apocalypse, Deadpool. Next up, you know what? The thing I said about us agreeing on these lists, I think it's completely wrong. The only ones we're going to agree on are the top 2, I think. Next, I have First Class. I guess you would want Days of Future Past here.
No, to me, the question would be the first one or First Class.
Ooh.
Wow. I mean, once we hit Apocalypse, I'm in movies that I really enjoy. So,
yeah.
Especially these top 4, I wouldn't say in any order. The only order that wouldn't make sense to me is X2 being number 4. That's the only order I couldn't get behind. But honestly, other than that, the other 3 are fairly interchangeable to me in terms of...
My ranking would be First Class, then Days of Future Past, then X-Men 1,
wow.
and X-Men 2.
I thought you were higher on Days of Future Past.
I would listen to swapping First Class and Days of Future Past.
Really?
I like it a lot, but when it was the process of doing this podcast that reminded me X-Men 1 is a really good film.
Yeah, it really is.
If you had asked me this ranking before we started this, I think X-Men 1 probably would have been my 4th spot. But then I sat and watched it and not analysed it, but I made my notes for this podcast. And I was like, you know what, this is a really well executed project. Like,
yeah,
I give it props for how tight it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm fine with that order. I think that also kind of... So we'll say Class Days of Future Past, X-Men, X2. And that kind of actually gets back to, I think... I guess maybe my final comment, because it kind of ties back to the question, is what you would like to see in the future. And it's impossible, but I would like to see the original vision play out as it was intended to, because that original vision is the vision I enjoy the most, find the most satisfying, and we are so far away from that original vision right now.
Yeah, we are.
We could not be more far away, honestly.
There was no Deadpool in X-Men 1 or 2.
Yeah, I mean, there's no Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Like, that just wasn't a thing, and
it's barely a thing now.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, even
yeah.
I think that's a preview of what New Mutants is going to be like, for instance. And
sure.
I don't think anything about New Mutants fits in with that original vision. But apparently, when Wolverine went back in time, he changed the entire tone of X-Men too.
Exactly. I don't know. I think with X-Men having such a wide cast of characters and ages and ethnicities, I think there is room for stuff like New Mutants.
Well, when I look back at 1 and 2, and I just long for that to have been finished properly.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That could be it. We could just get Bryan Singer to make the original X-Men 3 instead of whatever is coming in space.
I would not be miffed about that happening.
There you go.
I actually think that would be a far better conclusion to Hugh Jackman's run as Wolverine.
Yeah. But, so weird. Like, he's played it for so long. People rave about it, but
how long until they recast it?
I don't know.
But they have to do a reboot.
I feel, given they've just recast Cyclops, Jean Grey, Storm, etc.
But they seem like 10 to 15 years younger than anything.
Yeah.
But they just look younger than... I don't know how much younger they were than Marsden and Jansen in 2000, but they look 15 years younger.
I think you wait for those people to be a lot older before you have them joined by Wolverine. Because that's the thing, like, as much as he is intrinsic to the franchise, he wasn't around for a long time after X-Men was founded. And like, I think there is some merit in building a universe without him before you throw him back in.
100%.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're that patient.
No. And I think Marvel had a great deal to do with what happened in terms of like moving away from that original vision. I think Marvel blowing up and becoming a huge thing changed things there. Like, there was less room to be like, this is our little X-Men project, this is how we see it. And now the pressure is much more, you got to put a superhero film out, Yeah.
It's sad, but at least it's going well right now.
So that's been X-Men. I guess podcast mission statement concluded.
Yes. We are not going to stretch this out longer for no reason whatsoever.
No. Although, we are going to do some bonus episodes, so we're immediately contradicting ourselves there. So the loose plan is we're going to... I put this on the Facebook page for this podcast, Mike and Matt's X-Cellent Adventures on Facebook. We're looking at the stories that are in the films that were also done in the cartoons. So X-Men the Animated Series, X-Men Evolution, Wolverine and the X-Men. So we're going to look at Apocalypse, we're going to look at Days of Future Past, we're looking at Dark Phoenix. And then we are possibly doing a full episode on the awesome underratedness that is Wolverine and the X-Men, because that's just a great show, and more people should talk about it. So we will.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So, hopefully that will come to you soon, and then maybe we'll have some future plans for you. But for now, the podcast proper has reached its conclusion. Thank you for coming along with us on this journey. This crazy mission statement that I was presented by Mike Thomas all those weeks ago. And
that seems like a long time ago now.
Yeah. You were just like, hey, do you want to just do an X-Men podcast? I was like, yeah, I want to do an X-Men podcast. And now we've done it.
Okay. More exciting things to come.
Hopefully.
Teaser.
There you go.